Hi guys, welcome back to Oshi Knits Outdoors. My name is Oceana. I exist questionably, and we are ending the adventure that is No WIP November. It is currently December 1st. I've spent the day doing some errands, working on some projects, and I thought it would just be a really good idea to do a little bit of recap of the projects that we finished in No WIP November, as well as the progress that we made on things that we didn't finish. So let's get into that, and then at the end we're going to talk about plans for December or farther down in the winter of things that I would like to make, because I have a few ideas that have been stirring in my brain for a little bit, and we'll see what progress we make on those in the month of December. So, recap. No WIP November, we were really trying to work and make sure that we were getting progress done on the projects that we had already started prior to November or literally the end of October. There's a few things that had deadlines, tentative and like actually set deadlines. And for the progress we made, it's definitely harder to tell in some of the larger projects or the ones that are going to take a lot of hours. But we have two finished projects that we finished relatively recently. I would say it's been a week since the first one that we finished. But we did finish things. I think I had 4 projects that I was really working on. 5 if you counted the spinning that I finished at the beginning of the month. And we finished 2 of the actual projects and then the spinning, which I showed you I think in episode 2 as well as episode 3. So, 2 finished projects, 2 currently still in the process, but some really good progress made on those. Let's start with finished objects. So the first one you can see here is going to be our bouquet blanket. I decided to go with these red kind of burgundy type flowers. I was really hoping to figure out how to do like a poinsettia, but it just didn't click in my brain, and because I need this done for December, it was something that I kind of just went, it's better to have some really pretty flowers than to have something that's going to take longer. So these are some pointed roses that I found a tutorial on for YouTube, and I think they look really, really nice. I was really hoping to keep them with some yarn in the round so that there isn't a ton of things to tie in. But as you might have seen in last week's episode or the last half of the month, I had to tie these on one by one, so I kind of just am hoping that they stay. But I think it has come out really, really nicely. When you look at it from this side, you get the flowers coming all the way up, and then I crocheted 40 flowers. There's 10 of these sections, so there's approximately 4 in each section. I tried to do every 3 petals. The very last section that I worked on, the math, the number of leaf petals between hand, definitely got a little messed up, but I don't think anybody's going to seriously notice. I was able to weave in all of the ends, so there's not anything just like faffing about, which I think is very nice. And you can kind of just grab it from this middle point to gather it together like this, or what I like to do, and I think I figured out, is if you get it in half, and I kind of try and make sure that it's lined up so you can push the flowers in. But if you take the first section, fold it over, and then fold it back in half, so you kind of get this a little bit of a nice start. You can use that to roll it up, trying to keep the point in the middle but have it be flat so it doesn't create like a ice cream cone type look, and roll it up. It looks really nicely like this. You can hold it in your arms, or it is a pretty decent size. I would say that it's at least 3 feet wide. I have a tape measure actually. So doing some very simple math, it's a little like an inch or 2 over 3 feet wide. So It's a pretty decent size when you're working on a blanket. It's pretty lap blanket size, which I think is fantastic. But this is how the bouquet blanket ended up. I need to take some pictures, and then I'm actually going to be shipping it to my family for the holidays so that it can be used as a white elephant gift. And we'll see what comes out of that. But that's the bouquet blanket. It sits up kind of nicely. You can like prop it up. And then the second finished object is going to be the Cracked Lover mittens. I knit these with Let Lappy wool. I used a lot less than I expected. With the colors that we have, you kind of can't super tell the pattern on them. I haven't taken official pictures of these yet. There was really nice light today, but I was focusing on doing some errands and some chores around the house. So unfortunately, I didn't get to take pictures in the sunlight, but I'm hoping that there's good light tomorrow to take some pictures of these. I will update my Ravelry with pictures of both of these before I gift them away. The mittens have this what I consider a very pretty 2-color stranded 1-stitch, 2-stitch pattern where it, repeats the main color and the contrast color. I think this is really cool. I actually plan to use this in a sweater next year because I don't currently have the yarn for it. It's all at my parents' house. But these are going to be a gift for one of my family members. They fit my hands and I have pretty small ones, so I'm really hoping that I will be able to wash these tomorrow just to try and wet block them, stretch them out a little bit. I don't want to felt them necessarily, but I do think felting could do them a little good, except it would shrink it, which definitely don't need with this type of mittens. I used less yarn than was expected of the pattern. I definitely think that stems from the fact that I have a shorter cuff. For me, I know that the person I'm gifting these to wears a lot of bracelets, and trying to fit a ribbed cut cuff over any type of bracelets, watch, any of that stuff is difficult and finicky. Half the time you have to put your mittens on before you put your coat on, and that's just a whole thing. But the mittens are finished. I think it uses like 1.3 skeins of a 50-gram ball. So combined, they're about 60, 65, 70 grams of wool. So not a ton. I definitely think that I could actually make another pair of mittens with what I have, and I may do that. So we'll see what I do in December, because that just might be another quick little project that I have, but I would likely do it in just this 1x1 alternating stitch pattern. So that finishes out the finished objects other than the spinning that I have showed you. But I think that was really good progress. Both of these had pretty set deadlines, this one being of Christmas and this one being a week before Christmas. So it's kind of just like off the brain that now I don't have to deal with them. So I'll take that as a win. The other thing that has a tentative deadline, obviously, like this is just set in my brain so I don't actually have to stick by it, was my Nightfall shawl for my mom, because I could gift it to someone else, but also I know that I don't think anybody I know would fully wear a shawl. I actually laid this out and measured it earlier, but from the size we started, which was literally just on this bottom, it has gotten pretty big. It definitely stretches based off of the crochet pattern. I didn't stretch it when I measured it because I would rather have it be too big or larger than specified than smaller, just because of the fact that you can always... Bigger is better in some instances. This would still make a really pretty shawl. The pattern that I'm using, which I've linked in my Ravelry, about this project says that the ending size should have a wingspan of 210 centimeters, and we're currently at 137. So if we round that up to 140, We're currently 2/3 of the way there, or just a little under. When I measured from the tip to the midpoint, I measured about 50 centimeters, and that measurement based off the pattern was 75. So we're about 2/3 of the way done, but we are 14.5 hours in. And every row takes longer now. So we're gonna have to put a few hours into it in the beginning of December to try and hopefully have it done by the time that I go home for the holidays, which I'm very lucky to be able to do this year. So I will be planning to take this in to work. I've been trying to split my days, take 2 projects, have a morning project and an afternoon project. So this might become my morning project, and we'll see how much progress we get done and if we're able to finish it before I head home. I definitely could work on it on the airport, but then once I'm home, because it's a gift for someone and we're going to be really busy, I don't necessarily want to worry about having to work on things. So that is the progress on the Nightfall shawl. I do think that this has been quite a bit of progress for where we started from, which was nothing. So we'll take that as a little bit of a win. And then the last one that we've made progress on is going to be my porcelain sweater. This one does not have a deadline, and it spent a few days on the blocking board just kind of evening out, but I really like how it was able to stretch. I have started the sleeve. I actually started this on the 27th, so it's only been a few days, but I've made quite a bit of progress. I am on the beginning of color work C for the sleeve. There's only the 2 pieces of color work before it goes to stockinette. So this definitely could be done, the sleeve could be done in a few days, plus the cuff, and then doing the other one and the neckline are left. I actually may remake this pattern as a second sweater with different yarn. This was definitely not the correct yarn to be knitting this with. I should have made a swatch, a gauge swatch, but I'm stubborn like that. I definitely think it could work out. It's just now a tighter, like, t-shirt type sweater instead of a kind of relaxed sweater, which isn't too bad. How I've decided to knit the color work past the first portion, this first section, actually really helped when I was trying to block this upper section because of how I caught my floats. How I decided to do that actually prevented it from stretching the full distance that it should. So when this is supposed to have a really drop shoulder, as you can see, it doesn't go super far. Not a terrible thing, but it definitely means that I'll be probably stretching out the sleeves to make them long enough. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of finagling with them and see how that one works out. But we've made quite a good amount of progress with that. So I'm pretty happy. This one probably will be finished by the new year, hopefully, and then we can start on new fun projects for next year after that one's done. And trying to use up any of the excess yarn from the projects that I have this year. Next year will be really good. I've also been working on my Plarn bag. I'm not going to grab that because that's just a continuous project, but I worked on it for a few days and I've made some good progress. But it's not something that I'm going to prioritize working on. It's just something that I can kind of grab and not think about. So I will say, when people make the joke of, if you're thinking about learning to knit or crochet, you should ask yourself 3 questions. Do you know how to count? Are you sure you know how to count? And it's so true. Because the amount of math that I've done within the last hour just trying to figure out my different ideas for December has been so questionable. But let's get started with the things that I do know. And I just realized I didn't grab anything. So I'll be back in a second. Alrighty, I's back. So, December is here. And there's a lot of things that have been in my brain for the last few weeks. Working through No WIP November, I accomplished not actually starting anything, which was very questionable at times. Once I finished the bouquet blanket, I really wanted to start a new project, but I knew that that wasn't in the spirit of the month and the project that I was working on of trying to complete WIPs. So starting something new, not a very smart idea. But during that time, I was wearing these socks a lot. These are a hand knit pair of socks that I made, I believe, in 2023. I remember finishing them when I was in Washington State. They are the Hermione's Everyday Socks pattern. I don't remember who made it, but they're mismatched. This cuff matches the rest of the sock. Unfortunately, it was knit with some hand-me-down sock yarn that I was given from my grandma or from the stash of one of her friends. So I had an entire sock, and then I went to finish the next one and I didn't have a ton, so the rest of this is literally pieced together. There are so many little knots that just now poke out that aren't part of the pattern, that it actually has got a hole in it. Very sad, but I might actually give these to my grandma to try and patch them up because I am not entirely secure with my mending abilities right now. But I might try that once I get home and I have a better match or an idea of the yarn to use with this, because I don't currently have any yarn that matches or is close to what these socks were. But as I was wearing them during November, I was constantly folding this cuff into 3 because while I love the long sock look, it was really bothering me, and I really only like a 2.5 inch cuff. So I was constantly folding these down, and I love the pattern and decided that I wanted a new kind of shorter ankle cut style of these socks. Surprisingly, when I last moved, I left all of my knit socks with all my other belongings. So this is currently the only pair of hand knit socks that I have, even though I've done so many. So we're gonna remedy that. This is some yarn that I made, I think, multiple pairs of socks out of. This is the second ball that I have. It is the Queenland Collection Perth in the color Rainbow Reef. I did definitely have to look that up. But this is the second ball. I've knit 2 other pairs of socks, one that I gifted away and one that I don't have, which is such an ankle cut, very shorty style sock. But I love this yarn. I love how it works up, and I think it's going to be great in this type of pattern, this knitting pattern, or stitch pattern, however you want to describe it. So I think for December, I'm going to knit a pair of socks. One pair of socks isn't going to take me too long, but I think this is going to go later. I think this is probably 3rd or 4th on the list. I would say it's about even or a little bit above the porcelain sweater, but I do want to cast these on pretty soon. I think the idea for me would be to knit a ribbing portion and then fold that double with a portion of this knitting style so that it's on the outside, and then knit the socks as normal. Shouldn't take too long, but I'm pretty sure that I use a size 1 knitting needle when I've worked on this previously, which is pretty small, so it can be a little bit tedious, but I think it's going to turn out really, really pretty. So that's one project that I want to get to. The second one that I've been talking about during November is using my Tatanka handspun, and I previously mentioned that I wanted to make the Boston Blizzard cowl hood type thing, but unfortunately I don't have enough yarn to actually make it. It is also sizing difference, so I'm just going to freestyle it. I have done a little bit of math. I have an idea of how I want to knit it up. I have looked at many other patterns for different hoods, cowls, bonnets type stuff, and I have figured out what I liked and I don't like. So it'll definitely be something that I think I'm going to try and video the process of me making. I've taken some notes. I have to do a little bit more math, kind of an idea of what I want to, like stitch counts, all this stuff, but I've kind of drawn out some diagrams of how I want to knit it up so that it fits what I'm working with. I don't think that I'm going to have enough to make an entire cowl as I would like, but I have some yarn. It's the Drops Charisma. It's in a green color. I was hoping to knit a vest out of it, but it is a different green color than where I would normally like it to be. And instead of dyeing all of the yarn that I have, which is like 9 balls, so 450 grams, I think I'm going to just use it in a different manner than what I originally bought it for. So I think that this light brown kind of cream color as well as the green would go really well. This is going to be project number 1. I'm going to cast it on tonight and get it started after I do some math, because there's currently snow on the ground. I don't have any things that I can wear on my head that aren't like a hat, or I can't wear a hoodie or something, and it's just gonna get worse. But the other day I turned on my car and it said -14. It did get to 13 degrees Fahrenheit during that day, but it'd be cold and it'd be snowy and it's gonna get really windy, and so I need something that's gonna stay up around my face, not gonna fall off. So I think I'm gonna start working on this today. I'm gonna prioritize making the hood and then adding on a knitted band in the front and a cuff at the collar. I also think that I may add a ribbed portion around the neck that you could put up around my mouth and my nose, just to protect me a little bit from the wind, because it does get really windy here. So that's going to be project number 1 starting tonight, and I'm going to focus on it for the next few days. Hopefully I can knit up something really well. I'm going to start with a US size 5. I measured the wraps per inch, did a little bit of math based off of weighing out a certain yardage, figuring out the grist or the yards per pound, or yards per ounce in this case, and did a little bit of math. So I have 350 yards of this. So I definitely think that I could get the hood portion completed, but not the other ideas. So it's going to be a US size 5. I'm going to start working this up tonight, hopefully after I do a little bit of math. But I think it's going to turn out great. Hopefully I'm going to be able to video enough that I'll be able to explain what I'm doing. I'm going to take some notes. It's going to be great. Hopefully this goes well. And then my third project that I would like to work on in my evenings, because I can't take it to work, is going to be spinning up this absolutely gorgeous roving braid. This is the color Arcade. It is by Greenwood Farms. Greenwood Fiber Works. I believe that they're out of Colorado. I purchased this when I was in Colorado last. It's absolutely gorgeous. It is just super bright, super colorful. I think this is going to be a really, really, really lovely, absolutely fantastic, gorgeously colored yarn that I can make some absolutely fantastic things out of. When I first look at this, I really think of socks which is very sad. You want this to be out and hooded, shown off, not hidden behind shoes and different things. But I don't wear a lot of hats or like accessories on my head frequently that aren't like the same one over and over. And with 4 ounces, there's not a ton of stuff to work with to try and make a jacket or something. I do think this would be a lovely colored like dicky collar, which I'm really interested in working with some of the yarn that I have to knit some of those up, but that's going to be in the future. We'll see how they work out. But this is going to be another priority for spinning, and it's just going to be great. So hopefully you guys will enjoy joining me over the next few weeks as I work through these projects. I'll try and give you a few updates on the projects that I take to work, as I'm not able to film with those just because it's not a great environment to film in. It's cramped and not something that like should be seriously shown on the internet. But I'll try and keep you updated on the project. I do think going forward, the episodes probably are going to be every 2 weeks, just so that I have enough footage and enough progress on things to actually make it worth you guys watching something. Hopefully they don't take too long, but we'll see how things go in the future. I am going to quickly edit this video to get it out for today. I know some people are doing Vlogmas, but I don't have enough, and I'd be filming at night to actually show you some good footage. So we'll just try and kind of do 2 updates, and we'll see how that one works out. So thank you guys so much for joining me today for this recap of No WIP November, and to learn a little bit more of what my plans are for December. Hopefully you guys are excited or interested in the projects that I have moving forward. Like I've said before, if you have any ideas of things that I should make or look at, or if you have any ideas or want to see something super specific, or I don't know. If you have any ideas, comments, questions, put them in the comments below. I would look forward to reading them and responding to them either in the comment section or in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to follow along the projects, feel free to subscribe. We are hopefully going to make some really good progress in this next month. But also, December is a very cozy month, a little bit time to slow down, enjoy the weather around us. So we'll see what happens. Thanks guys for joining me. You guys have a fantastic time, and have a good night, guys.